In a stunning twist on the global stage, ceasefire hopes flicker as high-level diplomacy unravels. U.S. leaders pull out. Tensions explode on the battlefield. And a shadow deal on Crimea sends shockwaves through Europe. Russia launches a scathing attack on civilians in Ukraine. Is peace slipping further away? In a dramatic shift, high-stakes ceasefire talks between Ukraine and Russia in London have been scaled back, with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff pulling out at the last minute. The downgraded discussions, now branded as technical meetings, will go forward among senior officials from the UK, France, Germany, Ukraine, and the U.S., with General Keith Kellogg stepping in for the Trump administration as diplomacy limps forward. The battlefield rages on April 23 RD. Russia resumed its brutal assault after a brief Easter pause, killing 9 in a deadly drone strike in Marinette and destroying a vital power hub in Kherson. Behind closed doors, rumors swirl. A Financial Times report suggests Moscow may be ready to freeze the war along current lines if the U.S. recognizes Crimea as Russian. However, the Kremlin dismissed it. Ukraine flat out rejected it. President Zelensky made his position crystal clear. Ukraine does not recognize the occupation of Crimea. There's nothing to talk about, with Washington now pivoting to direct talks in Moscow and London's meetings stripped of top-level firepower. The question remains, are these talks a real push for peace or just another geopolitical smokescreen? For now, the front lines remain frozen, but far from silent. Early on the morning of April 23rd, tragedy struck the Ukrainian city of Mechanics as a Russian drone targeted a civilian bus carrying workers, leaving at least 9 people dead and more than 30 injured. The attack, part of a broader wave of strikes across eastern, southern, and central Ukraine, once again highlights the devastating impact of ongoing hostilities on innocent civilians, according to Mykola Lukashenko, head of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Council. The workers were en route to their jobs when the drone struck. Still, images released by Ukraine's State Emergency Service show harrowing scenes. Rescuers pulling bodies from the twisted remains of the damaged bus. The Russians attacked a bus with employees of the enterprise who were on their way to work in minutes. The strike is just one in a series of recent escalations aimed at civilian infrastructure, further endangering the lives of non-combatants and disrupting daily life. Sergei Lesek, governor of the Dignity Property Drives region, confirmed the casualties, calling the attack another cruel reminder of the human cost of the war. While Reuters has not independently verified the images or the exact timing, the reports echo a pattern of intensified drone and missile assaults in recent weeks. As the conflict grinds on, civilians continue to bear the brunt, raising urgent calls for renewed international attention and support. Tensions are heating up between Kyiv and Beijing after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made explosive claims about Chinese involvement in Russia's war effort. In a press briefing on Tuesday, Zelensky alleged that Chinese nationals are working at a drone production facility in Russia, potentially using stolen Chinese technology. He suggested these individuals may have struck private deals with Russian entities, sidestepping official Chinese government channels. That Ukraine's security service has been tasked with sharing detailed intelligence with Beijing, further signaling the seriousness of the allegations. The accusations come just days after Zelensky took things a step further, claiming that China was directly supplying Russia with weapons and gunpowder, marking the first time he's publicly accused Beijing of providing military aid to Moscow. I asked the Security Service of Ukraine to provide more extensive information to the Chinese side regarding Chinese citizens working in Russia at a drone factory, that we believe that it may be the case, according to our information, that Russia stole and agreed with these citizens outside of the agreements with the Chinese leadership on it. Russia stole these technologies because the information describes Chinese technologies that are relevant to work on these drones. In response, China issued a sharp denial on April 23rd. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Gajia Kuhn dismissed the allegations as groundless and accused Ukraine of political manipulation as well, though we have made clear China's position on relevant issues, and China is firmly opposed to groundless accusations and political manipulation to whom? This back and forth has only deepened the diplomatic strain between the two nations and raised new concerns about China's strategic alignment. Beijing and Moscow have maintained a no-limits partnership, a declaration made just days before Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The accusations, if proven true, could have far-reaching consequences for global diplomacy, especially as Western allies increase scrutiny on China's role in the conflict. For now, the world watches closely as the battle for narratives unfolds, and as Ukraine seeks answers from a powerful player it believes may be quietly fueling the war from the shadows. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed that a Ukrainian delegation is heading to London with a mandate to discuss a possible ceasefire. Speaking ahead of the talks, Zelensky said the delegation is prepared to negotiate either an unknown additional or partial ceasefire, emphasizing Ukraine's readiness to take the next step toward peace. "We are ready for this stage," he stated, adding that Ukraine is open to further dialogue in any format following a ceasefire agreement. Just as witnesses will come and ask for our delegation, it has a mandate tomorrow. For what? It has a mandate for discussing an unconditional ceasefire or a partial ceasefire. We are ready for this stage. We are also ready to state that after the ceasefire, we are ready to sit down in any format. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin echoed a seemingly conciliatory tone, stating that Russia is always positive about a ceasefire. His comments followed the recent Easter truce, a 30-hour pause in fighting announced by the Kremlin that expired Monday. Despite the truce, both sides accused each other of violations during the brief window of calm. Russia is always positive about a ceasefire. We have always said that we treat any peace initiative positively. We hope that the representatives of the Kyiv regime will treat this the same way. Putin, addressing the press via a Kremlin statement, stressed that Russia remains open to peace initiatives, but accused Ukraine of attempting to expand the scope of negotiations without due process. He noted that Moscow will carefully evaluate everything before making further decisions as fragile diplomatic efforts emerge once again. Hopes cautiously rise that both nations may edge closer to halting the devastating conflict that continues to impact millions across Ukraine.